Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer. And I'm smiling, and anybody who's watched my channel before knows exactly why. Finally, have a new Marvel movie. 2 years it's been since Far From Home came out, and I know this year at least we got WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now one episode left of Loki. But getting to watch a Marvel movie and a Black Widow film that has been in development for however the hell long, taking place in between Civil War and Infinity War, I'm just so happy that I got a chance to see this. I did bite the bullet and wound up watching this on Disney Plus premiere, so Disney, you're welcome for your $29.99. You're welcome. But this film has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And as somebody who's a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is extremely invested in these characters, it made me happy to get to see Black Widow, Natasha Rominoff, get her own film. We'll see how much of her own film this is, but we'll get there. But this is directed by Kate Shortland, who I'm not really familiar. Like, she did the Berlin Syndrome. I saw that film. And this is from writers Eric Pearson and Jack Schaefer, who wrote WandaVision. So there's some rollover there. And obviously starring Scarlett Johansson. And this film, if you look at, like, Scarlett Johansson is great as Black Widow. And she has great moments in this film. I don't know if this is the kind of film that you make to really do justice for this character, to give her one last, like, big hurrah, because she shares a lot of the spotlight with other characters. And in many ways, this kind of feels a little bit like Black Panther, where it's like, maybe a lot of these other characters are more interesting than Black Widow. But Scarlett Johansson is committed. She's a fantastic actress. She brings layers to this character, more than I feel like is on the page. And it's kind of fitting for her to get it's fitting for her to get this send-off of her own film post-dying in Endgame. So, but this time around, like, there's an 8-year gap in the universe, because this is probably like around 2016 after Civil War, before 2023 when post-snap. But this film, directed by Kate Shortland, like, the direction here, it's not particularly special or unique or different. This isn't like Taika Waititi or James Gunn or even Jon Favreau. It's very much like fallen within that, like, gray scale of a lot of Marvel's ground Avengers. Like, it looks like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It looks like Ant-Man. It has that kind of, like, gray feel to it, which kind of sucks, because, like, I'm a huge fan of cinematography and I want something special. And you look at the action in this film, the action's great. Like, the choreography of the action's great. And it's exhilarating. There's a car chase in it, like a motorcycle, and I guess a tank chase, which was really exciting. Despite slightly iffy CGI, that skydiving sequence at in the trailers that you see is really cool. But the action's cool. The editing's a little too quick, because you could tell that they're trying to cover up for some of this choreography and stunt people, but, like, it's a bit too choppy for my taste in terms of action. And of course, if you watch any of my videos, you know how much of a snob I am when it comes to that. Florence Pugh in this film as Yelena is fantastic. This film opens up with this prologue of them in Ohio in 1995, of Natasha and Yelena and their parents, Alexei and Milena, and them trying to escape out of America and landing in Cuba and stuff like that. It really sets up that familial bond here. And then Yelena in this film, Florence Pugh is hilarious. She's strong. She gets to have emotional moments. She really kind of steals the show. right out from under Scarlett Johansson, which kind of sucks in a way, but for our own enjoyment as an audience, she's fantastic. And so is David Harbour as Alexei, the Red Guardian. He's fun. He's a lot of the comic relief. He's smug. He's full of himself. And he just wants to amend that family. Rachel Weisz isn't in it as much. Like, this film, it turns into like picking up people along the way kind of thing, and she gets picked up later in the film. She does a fine job. I don't think she's the strongest one here. The villains, like Ray Winstone's character is straight up just a Bond villain, and not an interesting one. Like, it's funny because Natasha's watching Moonraker earlier in the film, and Ray Winstone's character has just as much personality as Michael Lonsdale's character in Moonraker, so not great. Not a great addition. Taskmaster, though, wish was in it more, having more action, because the action's great. Where the character goes, I saw it coming. I saw, like, the identity of this masked person. I saw it coming. And also, I made a conjecture based off of the cast list and somebody not popping up a whole lot up to that point at all, but a relatively big name. And I'm like, But it adds some layers to the character, but really underutilized. So, like, Marvel villain problem rearing its head here. It has your standard, like, globe-trotting spy narrative kind of thing, and like MacGuffins and picking up people along the way, and it's pretty straightforward in that way. The story's very predictable. There's not a whole lot of twists and turns that I didn't see coming. There's a lot of Bond comparisons, like the climax where it happens feels right out of a Bond movie. There's even some little elements, like even the skydiving sequence, like they did that with Jaws and James Bond in Moonraker. And there's those kinds of comparisons. This film, in general, is serious and smaller scale than some of the like big existence-threatening Avengers movies recently. It's a lot of fun. It's really funny. There's a lot of funny characters in it. It moves well. I feel like they probably could have trimmed this film down from 2 hours and 13 minutes, but like I enjoyed it along the whole entire way, so I wasn't complaining about that. And I felt like the familial bonds that they set up in the film really work. And it's emotional, and I connected with them. The writing, some of the dialogue's a bit iffy. The actors do a lot of the heavy lifting to try to make the dialogue work. They do relatively well with most of it. And in general, like the writing isn't the strength of this film, but the charisma of the cast and the action really lift it up. And moving forward, where the after the credits scene sets you up and where you see things coming, it makes me even more excited for the Hawkeye show coming up. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But we got a Hawkeye show coming up this year. I thought I was happy enough to have Haley Steinfeld in it. But, you know, it's interesting seeing these characters set up and seeing where things are going to be going moving forward. And you have Black Widow's last go-around. And I think it's fitting enough. It could have been better, and they had the time to really put something special together. But I enjoyed this quite a bit. I didn't love this. This is definitely not top-tier Marvel Cinematic Universe films, but it's solidly in the I really, really enjoyed this. This doesn't have as many flaws as some other lower-tier Marvel films. But in general, this is around the middle of the pack. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to see that Black Widow finally got her own film. But those are my thoughts on Black Widow. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.